ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Hey, David. Sorry.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Just a quick comment. That young lady in the jeans commercial.
Mm-hmm.
If that ain't the Brooke Shields Calvin Klein jean commercial of yesteryear, nothing is. That's all I can hear in that commercial.
Well, the difference is Brooke Shields, the child, the 14-year-old child, was selling sex. This ad is selling sex and white culture. Brooke Shields wasn't selling white culture back then. She was selling sex.
She sounds just
she
like
does.
her.
She does.
The
Absolutely.
tone,
They're borrowing from a nostalgic feeling, and then they're throwing the extra, but she's white on it, and being very blatant with it. I think it's very heavy-handed and silly. But you know, who do you have American Eagle in your closet?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, so, but I hear you. I see the nod for sure. Okay. That was your comment, David?
I was listening to it. That was it. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. God bless. All right. Now let's get down to business and rub my hands together. All right. So, yesterday we had a professor on talking about her book. She talked about Caribbean folk and African folk coming here, riding on the backs of the work done during the civil rights movement, benefiting from being able to move about the cabin freely because of the sacrifice of the folk that literally put their lives on the line during the civil rights movement and even before then. Today, this day in history, I'm going to talk about a group of women that came together to discuss lynchings and organizations in the 1800s and how, we could fight. Those fights gave a runway for people to come here and move about the cabin. And I'm not just talking about folk from Africa and the Caribbean Isles. Actually, people from India got to come here and be others and really benefit from things like affirmative action and all these other set-asides. Folk who were Sikhs got to come here and get special loans and things to start business. Like that's our fight. So I'm not going to ever sit here and say she is wrong, because she's not. Where I was pushing back and where I'm going to push back, and this is a conversation that I would love to have with you, is what's the benefit of the division right now? Who does it benefit? Does it benefit us? So let me just tell y'all know I talk a lot about my dad. I was raised in a household with a man who, while he was very well read and a lovely person, had some very strong views of, he had derogatory names for people from other places, and would often get into these, philosophical conversations with folk like, why are you here? If you're so great, why are you here? Why didn't you stay in your country and make it great? Like, he would literally have those conversations. So you can imagine in my household what I grew up hearing. And I was thinking about this today because the hypocrisy of my dad also having Marcus Garvey writings in my house, Malcolm X in my house, having these Black Panther ideations, when Stokely Carmichael and others loved Shirley Chisholm, the hypocrisy of that. And I got old enough to challenge him, and all he could do was smile about it, because in his heart, what he really was for was liberation. But what you're not going to do is disrespect, because what he was confronting in Newark and other places were people coming into a community of Black folk who all, came up from the South during the Great Migration, as his mama did from South Carolina, his father did from Florida, South Carolina, then into Newark. He was born in Newark, he and his 7 brothers and sisters. And now here come the other folks, and they're in their own little pockets, not even participating and looking down their nose at people. So that was inbred in him. And so I imagine some of you feel that way about the Mexicans, and you feel that way about the Guatemalans, and you feel that way about the Haitians, and you feel that way about the people who come in your community and somehow set up shop, the Koreans and the folk, the number 7 kitchen folk. And you're like, how dare you come into my community and basically extract all of the goodness, because the money, you're going to have a liquor store and a Chinese restaurant and this and that, and then that dollar's going out. If you're smart enough, you're seeing that. And that's bothersome because you can't get the loans, but they somehow do. And we can talk and we should talk about the way in which they come in as a collective, as a community with common language and culture and understanding. And they come in together, and some of them will live, 5, 6, 7, 10 deep in an apartment until the next one gets put on. They got a plan. The West Indians come in with the Susus. They got a plan. The Indians come in with a plan. They all know there's a pipeline. Somebody gets in first, and there's a pipeline. And then we have this, we're crabs in a barrel, and we don't work together. But the system is designed for us to not have any of the benefits of the things that we did. I know this is the story. I know it. 2 things can be true, and often are. At the same time, those wedges are used by the people in power because for them, they don't care. Other than to keep the division and the friction going while they pick our pockets and take our rights and steal our humanity and all of the things and laugh all the way to the bank while they do whatever the hell they want, while we vote against our interests because this person is not black enough. As if the other person could give a damn whether you breathe. We're having these arguments that feel right. And again, I was raised in a household with somebody that had derogatory things to say about people from other places, but loved himself some Marcus Garvey. And I'm like, make that make sense, sir. That makes no sense. And he couldn't, because it's a feeling. And we go off of how we feel. And the feelings, in this case, are right. You feel what you feel because you see it, and anecdotally and physically, it is absolutely true. At the exact same time, you are absolutely being used for your own demise. So I've had to step back away from my upbringing. And I was thinking about this today because I'm sure there's some people listening who were raised in homes with parents that are parchment colored, clear, without melanin, without a whole lot of melanin. And they use the N word, and they had these things to say about the blacks. And I'm going to put that to the side, because what you should have asked your parents is, why do we segregate? So for black folk, the folk can come into our community unchecked, unbothered. The folk who identify as white self-segregate. And you have no relationship with us outside of what you read in the papers and see on television and rap music or whatever. But you have a very strong feeling about black people, that we're dangerous and we're all of these things based on marketing, not on reality. Black folk, at least, we have some, personal experiences to tie our emotional feeling about these things, and very real lived experiences. Very real lived experiences. I get that. My question is, and there's a couple of questions that I put on the table because I had to work through it, right? As I sit here every day, as I read and I learn more and more and more and more, I had to come to this conclusion, like, who does this benefit? Who does this benefit? We saw in the last election, 2016, we keep seeing, even back in the 1940s, the Germans targeted black people. The Harlem Renaissance was the Russians targeting black people. Why? Because they know that we are the one group in this country that's owed more than we ever get. And we fight for things that other people benefit from. Affirmative action benefited more white women than it did black people. And so it's gone now. Right? And I'm saying, as we move forward, as we sit and think about first individually, because we're going to have to go through the paces. We all live somewhere. What can I do? This thing is big. You eat an elephant one chunk at a time. Your chunk is in your neighborhood. Eat that chunk. Fix that chunk. And then let's start figuring it out simultaneously. Get involved in organizations. We're going to talk about that. Simultaneously start imagining what this world should look like. what do you want it to look like, and then start living it. So something's required of you. But that's the difference. So as I sit in this stew of hypocrisy that every day we got to kind of wear and work through, I had to land on that question. So is this notion, again, both sides, I actually can trace on my dad's side, because he did the work back 5 generations, I can do it 4 generations on my mother's side. And it goes back to South Carolina, the Charleston area, Florida, some parts of it. My mom, Somerville and Augusta, literally was on a plantation in Somerville with her great grandmother in the summers, who was an enslaved person. She knew an enslaved person. So I'm deeply tied to this notion that if there's reparations, I'm going to be in line. So then if it's about reparations, fine. Let's have that conversation. Nobody else in this country, in this hemisphere, should get reparations unless they can tie their lineage, that's the language, to enslavement, which I can on both sides. I'm getting a check. Now, how does that happen? So I'm always going to ask that question. What's the game plan? These people pushing this? Are y'all leaning in? Are you running for office? Do you have people running for office? Because it's an act of Congress, meaning the House. And we went through this. I'm going to go through it a lot because I feel like, again, the feelings around it have superseded the actual logic. And what is also turned is a nasty vitriolic, it's almost poisonous way in which we're talking about people who, and I'm generous right now, who have had the horrors of colonization. Not enslavement, but colonization was nasty too. Ask the people in the Congo walking around with missing limbs. Ask the people in the land of the blacks, Nigeria, that they have so much pride, yet you have a $1 billion skin bleaching industry. You don't like yourself? Ghana, white Jesus and Santa Claus. What's going on? What's happening? At least here, we were saying it loud. We black and we proud. We taught the world how to love, as Malcolm would say. Who taught you to hate yourself? We taught the world how to love this. Black Americans. At the same time, it's a wonderful stew of rices and spices, drum beats and guitars and sitars and banjos. It's a wonderful blend of all of the things. We're something torn and new. It's something to be proud of. It's something to wear. But and it's not the same as white pride. As a matter of fact, it's the actual opposite of that. It's declaring something that was deemed 3/5, deemed less than, deemed dirty, as I mentioned, as Malcolm would write in his autobiography. When you look in the dictionary, all of the terms associated with black on purpose, because this is not our language. But if you have a dictionary, you're going to define things as it benefits you and yours, which is why we have to reclaim our time on so many levels. But I'm going to start here. Every single person listening to my voice, you come from this continent that they call Africa. It was not called that. But every single person listening to my voice, that's your origin story. So if that's the case, then where do we go from here?
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back, and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.